Hi, this is Troy Hunt, and today we're going to take a look at searching domains on Have I Been Pwned. This all starts by jumping over to the Dashboard button up in the top navigation bar, after which we can sign in with whichever email address it is we'd like to use for the service. It doesn't matter if you've never used Have I Been Pwned before. You can sign in with any email address you like. I'm just going to use demos@troyhunt.com. That then sends off an email with a link, and once I follow that, I am now signed in to my dashboard. Over on the left-hand side in the navigation under Business, we have a link to Domains, and it's from here that we can begin the process of verifying control of a domain. In order to ensure that only authorized domain owners can search their own domain, you will need to go through a simple verification process. And it all begins by adding a new domain. Now in this case, I'm just going to try and add my own domain, troyhunt.com. And we'll continue to the next step. There are 4 different ways by which we can verify control of a domain, and the fastest and easiest way is via email verification. The way this works is it predefines 5 common aliases associated with management and control of the domain: admin@, webmaster@, info@, hostmaster@, and security@. So long as you can access any one of these 5 mailboxes, you can click the continue button, receive that email, and use the verification code that's been sent to you to prove control. The second option is via DNS-TXT record, and that simply involves adding this entry you see here via DNS and then clicking on the Verify Now button. The third option is via file upload. You can upload a file called hibp-verification.txt to the root of your website, and so long as it contains the content you see here, you can then click the Verify Now button and that will complete the verification process. And the fourth and final way is via meta tag. So long as you can get this meta tag up into the head section of your website's homepage on the domain that you're trying to verify, you can then click the Verify Now button and that will complete the process. Any one of these 4 mechanisms will result in the domain being added to your Have I Been Pwned dashboard. But what we're going to do today is add a test domain, which anyone can add, without the need for any verification whatsoever. Let's dismiss the dialog we see here, go back to Add New Domain, and this time I'm going to enter hibp-integration-tests.com. And we'll jump down to Continue, and that domain is automatically added. Now anyone can do this. This is purely a test domain. There is no necessity to verify. This enables everyone to play with the feature without even needing a subscription. As soon as you add your domain, whether it be the test domain here or your own legitimate domain, you'll see a count of the number of email addresses that have appeared in data breaches. You'll also see a count of the number of steal-a-log entries against your domain. This number refers to people who have entered their email address on your website using that domain. And I'll show you how to retrieve that data via the API in a later video. For now, let's go through and search the domain that we've just added. Here we see a brief summary of the total number of addresses impacted. So there's the 14 we saw on the previous screen. There are 13 that appear in breaches that aren't spam lists. That's important for calculating the required subscription size. And then there's the 1 address in steal-a-logs I referred to just before. If your domain is large enough, you may see the warning that you see here that requires you to take out a subscription. But because we're using the test domain, we see the full set of results listed here on the page regardless of not having a subscription. Each record here shows the alias on the domain, followed by the specific data breaches it's appeared in, and then a count of those breaches in the far right-hand column. We can then click on any one of those data breaches and get a full overview of what actually happened in that incident. Returning to the previous screen, you'll see a list of all the domains you're monitoring listed here in the Domain section of your dashboard. Here we see that same warning about not having a sufficient subscription, but again, this is a test domain. The data is made freely available to everyone, regardless of subscription size. Further to that, every domain you see listed here is now enrolled for notifications. If any data breaches impact any email addresses on any of these domains, you'll receive an email notification to the address that you signed into your dashboard with. Now that's regardless of whether you have a paid subscription or not, and regardless of how large your domain is. And that's it. That is domain searches in Have I Been Pwned?